Imagine handing like a $20 budget to an AI on a Friday afternoon, and then by Monday morning, it has researched, coded, designed, and launched this massive 50-piece marketing campaign.
Yeah, for a holiday you didn't even know existed.
Exactly. I mean, we really aren't talking about typing chat prompts anymore. We are talking about autonomous software acting as a full advertising agency.
It completely breaks the old mental model of how work gets done. You aren't just managing tools anymore. You're actually managing a digital workforce that, well, it thinks on its feet.
Okay, let's unpack this, because today's mission on this deep dive is massive. We are exploring how to build a fully automated, brand-consistent content engine using Google's latest AI ecosystem. And we are going all the way from the raw code of building these AI agents to generating full-scale, visually stunning marketing campaigns. Joining me to navigate the architecture of all this is my co-host, a startup CEO who literally spends his days deep in the tech stack, figuring out how to actually apply this stuff in the wild.
Glad to be diving into this with you. And, for you listening, whether you're a solo entrepreneur trying to look like a Fortune 500 company, or maybe a corporate marketer dealing with shrinking budgets.
Right, which is everyone.
Yeah, totally. Or just insanely curious about where the tech is heading. Mastering these tools means transitioning your role. You're no longer just a creator of isolated assets. You are stepping up to become a director of agents.
Totally. And to get us there, we've pulled together some phenomenal source material today. We have a highly technical, really hands-on tutorial from Google Cloud Tech on using their agent development kit, the ADK.
Which is fantastic.
It really is. Plus, we have a marketer's tactical breakdown of Gemini's newest creative tools. I'm talking about things like Gems, Flows, and Pomeli. But to really grasp how this engine runs, I feel like we have to start with the fundamental shift in how modern AI operates. Because the era of the simple chatbot that just gives you a single static answer, that's over. We're dealing with systems that actually execute tasks.
Yeah, so that underlying shift is based on something called the REACT framework.
REACT.
Right, it stands for reasoning and acting. It comes from this foundational research paper that just completely flipped how developers treat large language models. The premise is that an AI shouldn't just, read your prompt and immediately vomit out a wall of text in one go.
Right.
Instead, it needs a cognitive loop. It needs to reason step by step before it even makes a move.
Wait, so it's essentially like it's thinking out loud before it commits to an answer.
Well, it goes a step further than that, actually. It reasons out a step, and then it takes a concrete action.
Okay.
So that action might be calling an external API, searching a database, or checking a web page. And then comes the most critical part of the loop. It observes the results of that action.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, based on whatever data comes back, it recalibrates and decides what to do next. Reason, act, observe, adjust. That continuous loop is really the brain of a modern agent.
So instead of asking a magic 8-ball for a favor, you're literally handing a clipboard to a worker. The Google Cloud Tech tutorial actually breaks this down into 3 broad patterns of agents, which I found super helpful for wrapping my head around the logic. First, you have sequential agents. These are systems that just run on a strict track. Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah, they are highly predictable, like incredibly reliable for routine tasks, but they're entirely rigid. Think of it like a factory assembly line. If a piece doesn't fit perfectly, the whole line stops.
Which is a problem. And that brings us to the second type, which are reactive agents. These systems make decisions in the present moment. They basically look at the current state of a task and ask, what should I do right now? So they might use a specific tool one time and a completely different tool the next time based on the immediate context.
Right, they have flexibility, but they suffer from a lack of foresight, like they aren't planning 5 steps ahead.
Exactly, which is where the gap is filled by the third type, deliberate or planning agents.
Yes. Before executing a single command, these agents pause. They sketch out this comprehensive multi-step plan. They actually map out dependencies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you think about booking a complex business trip, you don't just blindly purchase the first flight you see.
No, of course not.
Right, you coordinate dates, you cross-reference hotel availability, you check ground transport logistics. There's a very necessary order of operations.
I totally see where you're going. So a sequential agent is like setting up a rigid email drip campaign. Day 1 sends this, day 3 sends that. But a planning agent is like hiring a seasoned campaign manager who looks at the entire board, maps out the dependencies, and pivots based on incoming data.
That is a brilliant way to visualize the progression.
But wait, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
If I am the one handing this agent the exact tools it's allowed to use, and I'm the one defining its ultimate goal, is it really autonomous? It kind of feels like I'm still just programming it, just, with natural language instead of Python.
That's fair. I mean, this raises a massive philosophical and technical question about what autonomy actually means in software. The autonomy we are talking about doesn't lie in the agent choosing its own purpose in life,
Yeah.
You are absolutely still defining the goal. The autonomy lies in the microscopic decision-making between the tools.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, let's say your planning agent is tasked with researching competitors, and it encounters a broken link or a paywall. A traditional script just crashes and throws a 404 error code at you and stops.
Yeah, super frustrating.
Exactly. But the autonomous agent realizes the tool failed, reasons that it needs an alternative path to the information, searches for a cache version or a totally different source, and adjusts its plan on the fly. And it does all this without ever bothering you.
Oh, wow, okay.
That kind of independent problem solving is exactly why planning agents are just non-negotiable for complex tasks.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. The autonomy is in the pivots. So now that we understand how these digital workers sort of think, let's look at how you actually wire up the assembly line. Because, as a startup founder, you're the one looking at the raw code for this. The source walks us through building a blog writing agent using Google's Agent Development Kit, the ADK.
It's surprisingly elegant once you get under the hood. You basically start by setting up your local environment. The tutorial mentions installing this lightning-fast package manager called UV, which basically just gets your coding environment ready in seconds, along with the Google ADK itself. From there, you create an agent file. The very first worker you build in this script is called the blog planner. Its entire existence, its sole purpose in life, is to take a topic and output a highly structured markdown outline.
And we are talking a very strict format here, right? A title, a short intro, exactly 4 to 6 sections with bullet points, and a conclusion.
Precisely.
And it saves this outline to a shared state called blog outline. Because these language models, they don't have persistent memories of their own, right?
Right, they don't.
So they need a central sandbox to drop their work into so the next worker can actually pick it up.
Exactly. But here is where the true power of the ADK reveals itself. We're talking about checkers and loops.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah, anyone who has used AI knows that language models hallucinate. They get lazy, they skip instructions. You really cannot trust a raw first draft.
No, never.
So to solve this, developers build an outline validation checker.
And this checker doesn't actually write any content, does it? It just acts as a brutally strict editor.
Yep.
If I'm reading the tutorial right, its instructions are absolute. It parses the markdown file in that shared state. If it sees that the planner only provided 3 bullet points instead of the required 4, it throws a specific error, outputs the word retry, and lists the exact fixes required.
And if the outline meets every single requirement, it simply outputs OK. What you do next is you wrap these two components, the planner and the checker, into a workflow called a loop agent. They appropriately named this the robust blog planner. The loop automatically catches that retry feedback and literally forces the planner to fix its mistakes and try again. It will loop up to 3 times behind the scenes before it ever throws a failure to the user.
That is amazing. It's like having a paranoid managing editor who bounces your draft back to your desk 3 times before letting the CEO even see it.
Exactly.
It absolutely guarantees brand safety and structural integrity. And then once it finally gets the okay, it moves down the line to the blog writer agent.
Right, and the writer agent gets its own highly specific persona.
Like what?
Well, in the tutorial, they program it with instructions like, assume the audience is senior software engineers. Skip all basic definitions. Include practical code snippets.
That is so specific.
It is. And naturally, to prevent lazy writing, this writer gets its own validation checker and its own loop, the robust blog writer.
So we have these 2 perfect little robust loops humming along, the planner and the writer. How do they actually coordinate, though? Like, who is managing them?
You take those 2 robust loops, wrap them up as tools, and hand them to a root agent called Blogger.
Okay.
The root agent doesn't see all the complex code inside. It just sees 2 buttons it can push. When you, the user, ask for a technical blog on AI use cases, the Blogger agent pushes the planner button, waits for the approved outline to drop into the shared state, and then pushes the writer button.
That is so clean.
Yeah, and to finish the job, it generates 3 alternative titles and 2 tweet-length hooks for social media.
Wow.
And you can launch this entire ecosystem from your terminal with a simple command like AdWeb, which instantly spins up a clean user interface right in your browser to interact with it.
So the ADK gives us this flawless, heavily edited, robust text script. We have the brain. But, text alone doesn't stop thumbs on Instagram. A real startup needs visual flair. It needs an aesthetic. How does this very logical brain suddenly get an eye for visual design without losing its rigid brand safety?
What's fascinating here is this is where we cross the bridge into the Gemini creative stack. The ADK handles the logic, but tools like Notebook LM and Nano Banana handle the art.
Right. Let's start with Notebook LM. It's now integrated right into the Gemini app. Our source uses the example of a fictional consumer snack brand called Healthy Crunch.
Good example.
Yeah, so what a founder does is create a brand knowledge notebook. You literally dump your hero product photos, your deeply researched customer insights, your brand voice guidelines, and your color palettes all into this one isolated project space.
And the problem this solves is immense. Like, the single biggest complaint I hear from founders using AI is that the output sounds generic, or worse, just completely off-brand.
Oh, totally.
By grounding the AI's generation entirely in your specific notebook, you are effectively giving it a closed book test. It stops pulling random facts from the wider internet and starts speaking exclusively with your company's voice.
And you can use this notebook to generate those ADK blogs and export them directly to Google Docs, keeping all your specific formatting completely intact. Yep. But it goes way beyond external marketing. You can ask this notebook to generate internal company materials, say, like a one-page retail buy-in line sheet for your wholesale sales team. Because it has your product catalog and your pricing right in its memory, it generates a perfect, accurate document in under 10 minutes.
It's incredible.
But let's look at the actual visuals, because Google's new image model, Nano Banana, is really fascinating.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is heavily geared toward practical, conversion-focused marketing, rather than just, generating abstract, trippy art.
Well, wait, let me rephrase that. The practicality is what makes it so useful. You can select pre-built styles, like a salon style, to instantly lock in a specific lighting aesthetic. But the feature I really want to dissect is the sketch tool and its iteration ladder workflow.
Yeah, walk us through that mechanism. Like, how does an iteration ladder actually function when you're designing?
So imagine you generate a beautiful, wide website hero banner. The lighting is great, but there's a prop right in the middle of the table that clashes with your brand colors.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. Normally, you'd have to rewrite the prompt, hit generate, and basically pray the AI doesn't scramble the entire background while it tries to fix the prop.
Yeah, you lose all your progress.
Exactly. But with the sketch tool, you literally just draw a circle around that specific offending item and tell the AI to remove it or replace it with, say, a glass of water. It isolates that specific masking area and regenerates only those pixels.
That's huge.
You just keep stepping up the ladder, tweaking tiny localized elements until the composition is flawless.
The compute power and the time saved there is just staggering.
Yeah.
You aren't rolling the dice from scratch on every single edit. You are locking in the wins and only re-rolling the errors.
You can also use it for instant A/B testing ideation.
Oh.
Yeah, you drop in your raw product image and tell the AI, propose 3 distinct text-to-image prompts varying by mood and background. It hands you back 3 highly engineered prompts, you pick the best one, and generate the ad. But let's talk about the resizing feature, because the mechanics of this are wild to me. You can take a square creative, feed it back into Nano Banana, and ask it to recompose the layout to a vertical 9:16 format for TikTok or Instagram Reels.
Right.
And it does it in 10 seconds. Hold on. Resizing an asset normally means a designer has to rebuild the entire background in Photoshop, cloning textures and extending shadows. How is it doing that in 10 seconds without just, stretching the pixels out?
It's using advanced outpainting and inpainting mechanics. So it actually analyzes the existing contextual pixels at the border of your square image. It understands the lighting geometry, the depth of field, and the textures.
Okay.
When you ask for a vertical format, it mathematically generates new pixels that logically extend the scene upward and downward while ensuring the core subject remains perfectly centered and properly scaled.
Which brings up a slightly uncomfortable question.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If it takes 10 seconds to mathematically outpaint and recompose a layout across every single social channel, does this make traditional graphic designers obsolete for startups? Or does it just turn them into AI editors?
Honestly, if you look at the trajectory of design software, it's definitively the latter. A designer's true value has never just been their muscle memory with the crop tool or the clone stamp in Photoshop.
That's very true.
Their value is taste. It's understanding visual hierarchy, negative space, and emotional resonance. What these tools do is eliminate the friction of execution. The designer transforms into an art director. They are the ones defining the brand guidelines that get uploaded into the notebook. They are curating the iteration ladder, deciding when a piece is actually finished, and orchestrating the AI to produce at a scale that was previously impossible for a small team.
Okay, so I can art direct and generate one perfect vertical ad, but a startup needs 50 of these by tomorrow, and we need everyone on the team to be able to make them without messing up the brand. How do you scale that visual consistency?
That is the exact problem Google Gems was built to solve. A gem is essentially a customized, containerized version of Gemini tailored for a highly specific, repeatable task.
Our source gave a perfect use case for this, actually. Building a studio ad shot gem. You load this gem up with your brand's visual style guide. You set Nano Banana as its default image generation tool. And crucially, you upload your product packaging's physical dimensions.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the spatial math behind those dimensions is absolutely vital.
Right.
Language models don't inherently understand the physical size of objects.
Right.
If you don't give it the math, it will generate an energy drink can that looks the size of a fire hydrant relative to the background props.
Which is hilarious, but not great for ads.
No, not at all. Feeding it the exact height and width forces the AI's physics engine to scale the product realistically within the generated environment.
So once that gem is locked in with the math and the style guide, your social media manager can just drop a raw, poorly lit iPhone photo of a new product into the chat, and out pops a perfectly scaled, on-brand, professional studio shot.
Exactly.
But let's take it from still images to motion. Omni-model for video.
Yes. For product marketers, high-quality video generation has always been the holy grail. But it's notoriously difficult because AI struggles with object permanence. But Omni is starting to actually understand physics and reasoning in motion for up to 10-second clips.
The character consistency is what really caught my attention.
Right.
You can prompt the model to feature the exact same synthetic female actor holding your product across multiple different video generations, basically maintaining the brand's face. But here's the feature that really changes the game referencing video input.
Wait, you're saying you can feed it an existing video file to basically mimic the mechanics of it?
Yes. Imagine you are scrolling Instagram and you find a 10-second reel of a recipe tutorial that has this incredibly snappy, fast-paced editing style and dynamic camera zooms. You can literally trim that clip, feed it into Omni alongside your product photo, and instruct it to copy that exact pacing, camera movement, and editing rhythm for your own brand's recipe video.
The ability to rip the structural metadata of a video without stealing the actual content is incredible.
Isn't it?
However, any startup founder will tell you that video generation models are incredibly computationally heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Which translates to expensive API calls or strict daily generation limits. You really cannot afford to iterate 50 times on a video prompt.
Which is exactly why the source shared a genius storyboarding pro tip to protect your budget. Because you don't want to waste your daily limit on a video that has terrible composition. You create a secondary custom gem solely for storyboarding. You feed it the official prompting guide, and this gem's only job is to generate a detailed, scene-by-scene static storyboard image first.
Ah, I love that.
Right. You use Nano Banana to tweak that static storyboard until the lighting and placement are flawless, and only then do you feed that finalized image into Omni to generate the final motion video.
Notice how we are circling right back to the logic of Section 1 here.
Oh, true.
Using a gem to storyboard before generating the video is the exact same underlying mechanism as the deliberate planning agent we talked about earlier.
It totally is.
You are forcing this system to map out the steps, visualize the dependencies, and get human approval before executing the heavy, expensive action. Planning saves compute, it saves credits, and it saves time.
It really is the exact same logic, just applied visually instead of with text. So we have the text from our 80K agents, we have the images and videos from Nano Banana and Omni, we have the brand guidelines locked safely into gems. But right now, these are all just raw ingredients sitting on the counter. Who cooks the meal?
Right.
We need an orchestration layer to stitch this all together into full-blown campaigns.
And that orchestration happens inside Google Flows and Bomelli.
Let's start with Flows. Think of Flow as a studio wrapper. It basically provides a visual timeline, an editor, and a library to store your reusable characters and brand assets. Because generating an isolated 10-second clip is a neat parlor trick, But a real ad campaign needs structure, it needs transitions, and multi-clip sequencing.
It basically brings the timeline interface of software like Premiere Pro
Yeah.
into the AI generation space.
It does, but Flow has this specific feature called agent mode. And this is where the lines between the 80K logic and the creative tools completely blur. In agent mode, you don't just ask Flow to generate a video. You give the agent a single product image and simply ask for 3 different ad variations utilizing varying camera angles.
So the agent basically takes over the project management. It figures out the specific prompts needed to achieve those 3 different angles, queues up the individual generation tasks in the background, and prepares to run them.
Yes, but it introduces a really vital safety mechanism, explicit approval. Before it spends a single credit, it stops and says, I have planned out these 3 variations. Executing this will cost approximately 15 credits. Do you approve? And then once you click yes, it goes to work and drops the final assets right onto your timeline.
That explicit approval step is honestly a masterclass in AI design. It keeps the human in the loop for budget control and final taste, while entirely automating the actual heavy lifting and labor.
Absolutely. And if Flow is the digital studio, Google Pomeli is the instant campaign builder. Pomeli is almost hard to believe until you actually see it.
Okay.
You start by just pasting your company's website URL into the search bar. That is the entire onboarding process.
Wait, what is it doing in the background with that URL?
It is literally scraping your site's CSS to extract your exact brand hex colors. It analyzes the DOM for your typography choices, it pulls your taglines, and crawls your product catalog to build a structured database. It basically extracts what Google calls your business DNA and automatically builds a massive context window for itself.
So it literally does the work of an onboarding brand strategist in about 5 seconds.
Precisely. From there, the possibilities are wild. You can tap into Pomeli's pre-built topical campaigns. Let's say it notices World Chocolate Day is approaching next week.
Naturally.
Right. It already has the templates. It automatically reaches into that database, pulls your specific chocolate products, applies animated text effects using your exact brand fonts, and generates a suite of social assets.
Can you build custom campaigns outside of those holiday templates, though?
Oh, absolutely. You just select 5 specific products from the catalog it just built, tell the AI your goal, like launching a summer clearance sale, and it generates a comprehensive creative brief. You review the brief, confirm the messaging, and generates all the ready-to-use social assets.
That's insane.
But the craziest part, it can generate a fully functional, simple website or landing page in 1 click. Yeah. It uses those extracted hex codes and fonts to build a temporary testing site so you can instantly launch and route traffic to the campaign you just built. I call Pomeli the franchise in a box for social media. It completely eliminates blank page syndrome.
If we look at the incredible arc of what we've covered today, the progression is staggering. We started with the raw underlying logic of the React framework reasoning and acting. We saw how developers use the 80K to build deliberate planning agents and how checkers and loops enforce rigorous, brand-safe text output.
From there, layered on the creative muscle, using Notebook LM to force the AI to speak your brand's truth, leveraging Mano Banana's iteration ladder to perfectly refine visual compositions through localized in-painting, and standardizing all of those workflows with Google Gems.
And finally, we saw how ultimate orchestrators like Flows and Pomeli act as the campaign managers, taking all those perfectly crafted pieces and assembling them into massive multi-channel initiatives in seconds. The ROI here is insane. This technology stack removes all the mundane execution, allowing a single individual to operate with the creative output and consistency of an entire agency.
You truly leave behind the role of an asset creator and step into the role of a director.
But you know, looking at all this frictionless perfection leaves me with a thought that goes beyond the technical tutorials.
What's that?
If AI makes technical perfection completely free and instantaneous for everyone, then perfection is no longer a competitive advantage. It becomes the baseline.
Wow, yeah.
If every 25-year-old founder has access to these exact tools and can generate flawlessly lit on-brand content at scale, what actually differentiates a company?
That's a great point.
For everyone listening, in a world where high-quality content is effectively infinite, how are you going to make your brand humanly imperfect and genuinely vulnerable enough to actually stand out?
That is a phenomenal question to leave on. Because going back to where we started, the blueprint for building a business has definitively changed. The architecture of a campaign isn't rigid anymore. It's alive, it's reacting, and it's generating itself. But at the end of the day, you are still the one who has to decide what ground you are building on.
Exactly. The digital workers are autonomous, but the soul of the company still has to be yours.
Lots to think about there. Keep experimenting, keep directing those agents, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.